the primary value for this event is, of course, to expose the general public to the Day of the Dead as a holiday, as a festival, and in so doing, introduce another aspect of Mexican culture. But moreover, I think this is an excellent way to sort of emphasize the relationship or the possibilities for art, and in here specifically printmaking as a social catalyst, or as a way of bringing people together. It serves as a kind of critical discourse, a political discourse, and printmaking and the Day of the Dead are historically so seamlessly interwoven. There's as Aline was mentioning earlier, there's a rich tradition, even previous to Jose Guadalupe Posada, of the calaveras, the broadsheets, the one-sided posters that were not only celebrating the departed, but serving as social and political critique in Mexico and other areas. And that wouldn't have been possible if it weren't for printmaking as a resource, or printmaking as a medium. So they've sort of been hand in hand for a long time, and a lot of the ways that Day of the Dead has been popularized in this country is still through these graphic images. So it seems like a very sort of a harmonious relationship, or to bring the two together, and through all of it, you have the the remembrance of the dead. So I see this as a sort of a multifaceted event, with the art exhibition, the tradition of printmaking, and the celebration of our dearly departed, or the critique, the satirical critique of those we might wish were dead. The majority of the prints that were submitted have clearly been influenced by the long tradition of calaveras, or the images of skulls and skeletons. And my understanding of that imagery is this notion that, of course, life is brief. This is a temporal existence. And so the skulls or skeletons reflect our mortality, and when they're used in certain contexts, they speak to this notion of the sort of senselessness of violence, or the pointlessness of affluence, or wielding one's power or influence over people. So there's this sort of political idea built into the skulls and the skeletons. And what you see oftentimes, both historically and in the prints in the show, are skulls and skeletons that are, imitating things that we do in everyday life. So they're dressed accordingly, sort of ridiculously. I mean, they are skeletons, and so it's preposterous that they're dressed at all, but they're dressed, and they're, they might be simply laughing or smiling or playing an instrument or talking on a telephone. So you have that kind of ridiculousness that reminds us of the sort of absurdities of everyday life. And the prints are not only focused on this kind of social and political critique. In fact, predominantly many of the skulls and skeletons seem to be sort of reverent remembrances of past dogs, the sort of, and other loved ones, members of the family. I was struck by, I think there are two images actually that celebrate the lives and passing of family pets. At least that's how I understood them. And so, I think of that as sort of unique to this kind of an activity, this sort of event and this kind of festival, that people are compelled to share those kinds of memories, feel comfortable doing so, knowing that this is a celebration of all life.